ain't dead, we gon' whoop your ass. Xbox, it ain't dead, we gon' whoop your ass. Xbox, it ain't dead, we gon' whoop your ass. Xbox, it ain't dead, we gon' whoop your ass.
One of his first copies, anyways, physical copies for Nintendo Switch 2. He's talking about with Jordan here. Well, I just pre-ordered my first Switch 2 game. Did it 5% off with the Jordan 2025 code. Of course, he comes back and states, as you can see, ruined. Now it's a game key. So again,
I mean, that's what it is, man. And this just goes as far to show you that we're pushing for a digital-only future. It is what it is, man. But I find it so funny because I own the game on Switch 1, and it's not like this. But for some reason, the Switch 2 version has this whole game keycard. Now, I know Nintendo did this so they can help decipher which games are going to actually be functional offline. But it just seems like companies are now opting more for this game keycard nonsense. And I can see as to why the Nintendo community is upset about this, but I really don't think PlayStation 5 dudes should be complaining about this, considering that your whole console's DRM. The fact that you have to synchronize your disk drive online just to get the disk drive to work is actually worse than what's going on with Nintendo right now.
Scenarios where you're looking at, for those that are collectors, that you want physical prowess and stuff like that, this is going to make it very difficult. And again, something to keep in mind is in the future, games are going to be more and more digital, so hold on to those physical...
Yeah, with the bigger these games become, and what's even more funny, this game should have already been on a cartridge. Like, I don't understand how you make a Switch 2 version, and yet the Switch 1 version has it, but the Switch 2 version doesn't. So this is obviously a problem that's going on with Nintendo. Clearly, companies are opting out for the game keycard function as long as it's labeled. I mean, what do you guys expect, man? These companies are lazy. Y'all really thought they were going to take the time to really put these games on the cartridge? They don't care, bro. Sony's doing it. Microsoft's doing it because they're trying to push Game Pass Ultimate, and gaming is even going to be more expensive. These are the things that you guys are going to have to succumb to. And if you don't like it, well, guess what? Stop playing it. You broke it.
Copies, if you want physical to stay around, just a little word of advice or whatever. Buy your physical games as much and as often as you can, if it makes sense.
Well, that didn't help you with Concord, did it? Because you bought 5 copies of that game, and guess what? Ain't none of them work.
If you're a collector, even if you're not, you still want physical to stick around. If it makes sense to pick up that physical copy, definitely do so. If you're not doing some sort of digital game sharing and stuff like that, definitely pick up physical all you can, special editions. Still, the other tip of the hat from Nintendo here in regards to that. Now, the other part of this is the fact that we're going to bring up, again, if we're talking about $700, I just want...
Yeah, I mean, you pay $700 for a digital-only console. You don't even have a opportunity to play with the physical media unless you upgrade to the disc drive, which is still DRM. So explain to me how the PlayStation 5 Pro is any better than what you're getting with the Nintendo Switch. If anything, it sounds worse.
Preface this, and I'm not trying to throw shade because it's not always about graphics. I know I spoke about this a little bit beforehand, but here we have a couple screens from the newest Donkey Kong Bonanza game. And again, I kind of take a step back and I'm like, if it was to come out around that $700 price range, is this something that justifies to me $700? For me, probably not. I can certainly wait. I don't feel any FOMO right now.
I mean, honestly, the game, I mean, I'm looking at some of these screenshots, right? They got the Zelda hearts. Yeah, this is kind of embarrassing, man. This is looking like a Mario Odyssey flip. Like, I'm starting to think that this game might have been potentially Mario Odyssey 2 or something, and they decided to switch it. Because, I mean, just look at these screenshots. Like, that's crazy. Even the things on the side, like, bro, I mean, I was kind of hyped up for this game, but just by looking at some, but come on, man, it's just icons on the screen, but you can just tell they look out of place. Really? Hearts? Really? I mean, you got hearts like you're playing Legend of Zelda. This is so stupid.
The gate here, right? And I just feel like some things are just slightly off with the power here. It's not quite the power that we're looking at, and there's some double speak and double.
I mean, me personally, I think this game could have ran on the Switch 1. No different than Metroid Prime 4. I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like every game that they've dropped could have ran on the Switch 1. It is what it is, bro. Oh, the Nintendo fans are going to get mad, man. But it's no different than PlayStation. Y'all playing PS4 level style games on the PS5, except you're playing them at 4K 60. God of War Ragnarok, Days Gone, Until Dawn Remake. These are the games that you're playing on PlayStation 5, bro. So when you people sit there and say, oh, we got past that generation, did you really? Because you're still playing the same. Even Gran Turismo, the latest one, is still a PS4 game. Y'all didn't even get a next generation version.
Here, so keep that in mind. But certainly a couple of things, just to hit some quick beats here, right? What I want to go over is the fact to include the Switch 1 versions, as fans dismiss them as totally worthless, right? So
there's a reason for that, because they're having storage capacity issues. That's why. So technically speaking, the Switch 2 is a digital-only console. I'm telling you, we'll see. Once they start doing a 64-gigabyte Legend of Zelda, it's probably going to be up there to $100, guys. I'm telling you right now. I mean, they're already setting this up. Microsoft don't care because they push Game Pass Ultimate. Sony and Nintendo don't care because if anything, Nintendo's kind of giving you that indicator that, yeah, this is where gaming is heading. Everybody's blaming Sony. Or Nintendo, I'm sorry. But I think this was bound to happen anyway. So when we heard those rumors about companies wanting to push for $100 games, don't think that they were just rumors just to be rumors. This is clearly something they wanted to do. And it's going to happen.
And this could in turn continue to rise the gaming prices. They're the first ones out of the gates to do so more.
No, they're not. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, bro? You know what's funny? All right. You know what? Let's give a history lesson to everybody. Okay? You guys want to sit there and say that Sony was actually, well, there's a few factors, but we'll just try to keep it as basic as we can so it can be easy for people to follow the video, right? It was actually Microsoft with the Xbox 360. Let's not forget, Xbox 360, they pushed $50 to what? $60, right? You guys got comfortable with that. Sony did from 60 to 70, right? Can we all agree? And now Nintendo's pushing, 70 to 80. So they've all engaged in this. So when y'all want to sit there and point the finger at Nintendo and Sony or bro, they all did it, as far as I'm concerned, and we've all accepted it.
Bank that Sony did this for the $70 deals, not understanding 2K started this, and other things will follow.
It doesn't matter because Sony didn't have to follow that. And what's even more funny, that's not true because they still priced it as NBA 2K Standard Edition, but they incentivize you to buy the more expensive versions by having more VC or some other, character customization items. Obviously these little incentives that should have been included in the game in the first place, but now they're trying to monetize it.
It's not just one person or the other here. There's also, ultimately, in the Treehouse broadcast, right? They were pricing, but DRM and all that. They should buy an Xbox 360, effectively suggesting the older consoles an alternative for those who couldn't meet the Xbox One's always online requirements.
Yep, and that's exactly what these consoles have become. Like I said, Microsoft is always beating you guys to the punch. They knew that this future was coming. They did it before anybody, and now look at it. It's even as bad as Nintendo doing it. But we kind of already had this idea, considering that there was no way possible that they were going to make these bigger budget games or these bigger titles, right? Nintendo's just getting away with it. They're just kind of setting the foundation. But I can guarantee with the next Legend of Zelda or whatever next big Mario game, they're going to price them more. If they're pushing the boundaries of these games, they're obviously going to charge more. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole idea.
Again, I think this speaks volumes in regards to Doug Bowser here. I think the name fits perfectly to be part of the Nintendo company, right, with Bowser. But the fact remains here that it's tone deaf. It's not gonna sit well with a lot of the fans out there. There's gonna be the diehard.
Well, you guys have accepted $70 games. Microsoft's laughing. They're like, yo, each and every day y'all make Game Pass Ultimate look more appealing.
In regards to that, the things should be a little more fine-tuned. There's a lot of things that look great about this. I'm not trying to downtrodden that, but ultimately that's where we're at. But again, sometimes when a company gets too big for their britches, much like when PS2 got too big for their britches.
No, don't use PS2 as an example because the PS2 was a glorious system. use PS5. Don't even put PlayStation 2 in the same category as to what's going on with PS5. PS2 had new software, okay? Because all the original PS1 games, there was no reason for remasters and remakes because you could have just carried all of your PS1 games over, okay? Don't even put PS2 in the same category as to what's impacted PlayStation 5 now.
Or PlayStation in general with the PS2 generation got too big for their britches. They came out with the PS3 cell processor, thought they could manhandle their way through there. We can do no wrong, all this stuff, and stumbled right out of the gate. Took them a few years to correct that footing, to do right to the consumers, and on and on. But it took some time. In the Xbox One generation, that didn't really happen. You got the forced connect. You had always DRM right out the gate with the messaging.
Which to end up finding out that PlayStation did the same thing.
Sorts of stuff going wrong there, and it took them a long time to also kind of correct that. But at that point, it's too little.
But what correcting has been done? Because if we're correcting anything, these things wouldn't be popping up. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we going as far to say, oh yeah, PS4 the games are on the disc, to now PS5 being locked down to the disc drive. Okay, like at least I can respect Microsoft for being forthcoming about the information about, yeah, this is an online only device. I mean, I'm just saying. But you had Sony lying. You even had Nintendo even lying about the whole concept of physical media and how it still exists. We already know that it's going to be done. I give it about 10 years and this is all gone.
Wait, Microsoft couldn't help themselves. They didn't have enough of a fan base to cover that up, to recount for those mistakes.
What? I mean, they still sold like 40, 50 million. I mean, yeah, it wasn't 100 million like PlayStation, but it still very much did well. I mean, just because a console doesn't outsell its competitor doesn't necessarily mean the console did poorly.
Where Nintendo, if they correct a lot of things right now, out of the gate, they have the fan base. They clearly have the fan base that can kind of course correct this, right? They can course correct this, make the necessary adjustments, maybe not make such brace for impact and be like, we're going to weather this storm. It's going to be okay.
Well, see, Nintendo could do that because people like Nintendo's games. Microsoft could do that because people like Xbox games. Sony can't afford to do that. If Sony was in a position to do what Nintendo did and people are complaining, this could single-handedly ruin PlayStation. Okay? They can't cut down on the price. They can't do a lot of things. That's why Sony is afraid to bring out AAA games like they did before, because of all the constant failures that they've been having ever since the PlayStation 3. They had some remote success with the PS4. They figured that success would carry to the 5, and it just didn't. People didn't care about those games.
The fanatics and hardcore fanboys out there that we're going to be okay, we can kind of do what we want. But again, they have to look back to the Wii U generation and understand that they can't just do anything.
That's not true, because Nintendo, we're talking about portables. And like I've said before, Nintendo is one of the most successful companies when it comes to portable gaming. Okay, the Wii U, now as much as I do bring that system up, it was a what, guys? A home console. Nintendo was struggling with home consoles ever since the N64. N64, GameCube, Wii was a success, mostly due to casuals, but a lot of people didn't buy software, and a lot of people look at the Wii as a shovelware console because of it. And there you got the Wii U, okay, which did far worse than any of Nintendo's expectations, right? That's why they completely abandoned the idea and said, you know what, we're going to make a Switch, have it have the capabilities of what the Wii U had, and introduce it to our portable gaming audience. When the Switch came out, in comparison to the 3DS, you're like, wow, that's a huge improvement. But a Wii U advancing to the Switch, that experience was like, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't as groundbreaking. But going from 3DS to the Switch is crazy. You're like, whoa, we got these type of graphics now? You know what I'm saying? From a portable standpoint.
Actually, people have had enough, and they're not going to get the success that they thought they had. And that's coming out the hot gate that the Wii was, right? Whether that's due to the Wii Sports and stuff like that, whatever garnered that attention. But ultimately, it doesn't matter how big you are, you will fall.
Yeah, well, that's funny because you're describing PlayStation right now.
If it's not done correctly, if it isn't done with a sense of you know.
And that's what PlayStation is doing. And unfortunately, I think PlayStation will be a former shell of what they used to be. PlayStation will be a place where it's just a third party box. Like essentially Microsoft's right. It just will be essentially another Xbox, except without the bells and whistles. Because that PS5, PlayStation, I should say, is not going to want to put money into their own games. PS6, 7, 8. You really think they're going to want to put, I mean, they don't even want to put $300 million into a game. If we're talking about PS6, 7, and 8 games, guys, you understand that $300 million will be $600 million, $800 million, and $1 billion. Sony don't want to gamble like that. They don't. Microsoft can. That's why they're pushing this whole multi-platform strategy all the way. Because they know that the games they got, Call of Duty, these are the games that people want to play. These are the games that people like. Just like Nintendo, even though Nintendo might have some setbacks, like what they did with the 3DS, but once everything falls in line, they're good. Now, if Sony has a setback like this, that's going to ruin their company. They're just going to be known as the third-party box, which that's exactly what it is. Fortnite, Apex, and Marvel Rivals. That's what it is. PlayStation will never be known for the days of the mag and the kill zones that once we loved back then. Those days is over. It's just going to be another place where you buy Xbox games for full price, and that's it. Like, technically speaking, it's another Xbox. It's kind of pathetic, bro, if you think about it.
A sense of...
It's a worse Xbox. That's why Sony got to do all these little Black Myth Wukong side deals to kind of differentiate that. But in all honesty, it's really just another Xbox without Game Pass Ultimate. It is what it is.
Pride that is good, though, for the brand. Not prideful sin, so to speak, but, you know, you're messing with a lot of stuff here. And
pride before the fall. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, man. I really don't think XVault Gaming gets it. I don't think he understands that Xbox has games that people want to buy and support, no matter what platform they're on. I think you guys are completely missing the plot. Sony don't have that. And I'm telling you right now, if Intergalactic fails, the days of Sony putting out AAA games is over, bro. I'm telling you, they're going to be putting more games on Switch too. I'm telling you, they're going to do that anyways. So, like I said, man, just enjoy what you guys are playing. But we already know that physical media is dead, as well as exclusives. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this video. And like I said, take care. Peace out.